She didn't blink for 3 hours, man. Not once.
That's because she's not what you think she is, Marcus. She never was.
Marcus Hale had never meant to buy anything at the warehouse sale. He was just killing time on a rainy Saturday in Detroit, walking through rows of dusty surplus boxes and forgotten junk, when he saw her sitting on a shelf between a broken lamp and a cardboard box of old cassette tapes. She looked like a doll. A very strange doll. She was about 3 feet tall, seated cross-legged on a wooden crate, wearing a rough linen dress the color of sand. Her skin was pale blue. Not painted, not plastic. Pale blue like the sky just before dawn. Her hair was white and long, falling over her pointed ears. Her eyes were closed. Her small hands rested on her knees with a stillness that felt almost deliberate. The tag on her wrist read, $40. No returns. Marcus picked her up. She was heavier than he expected. Solid, warm, almost like holding a sleeping child. He checked her back for a battery compartment. There was none. He pressed her arms, her legs, looking for the seam where the plastic would creak. There was no creak. The skin, if it could be called skin, had texture. Pores. Tiny, almost invisible hairs on her forearm. He bought her. He told himself it was curiosity. He told himself he'd figure out the mechanism, maybe sell her online for more. He was an engineer after all. He liked solving things. He drove home through the rain, and somewhere on the highway, he glanced in the rearview mirror. Her eyes were open. He nearly swerved off the road. He pulled over, heart hammering, and turned around. She was sitting exactly as he'd placed her, in the passenger seat, hands in her lap, but now those eyes were looking straight at him. They were silver, not gray. Silver, like mirrors, reflecting the headlights of passing cars in tiny duplicate flashes. "Hello," he said, feeling ridiculous. She blinked. Slowly. Once. He set up a camera in his workshop. He placed her on the workbench between his tools and his coffee mug, and he watched her for 3 hours that night on the live feed from his phone while he sat in the kitchen pretending to eat dinner. She didn't move. She didn't blink again. But every 20 minutes, a faint blue glow pulsed from the center of her chest, brief, rhythmic, like a heartbeat made visible. By morning, Marcus had stopped calling her it. He called his friend Dr. James Reeves, a neurologist with a private clinic and a reputation for handling strange cases with discretion. James agreed to come over. He brought a portable scanner, the kind used to map brain activity in coma patients. When James placed the sensor pads gently against her temples, the machine screamed. Not in error. In data. The readout spiked so fast the screen blurred, lines of neural activity flooding the graph like a symphony recorded at 1,000 times normal speed. "Marcus," James said quietly, not taking his eyes off the screen. "This isn't a doll." "I know," Marcus said. "No." James turned to look at him. "I mean her brain activity is more complex than any human we've ever recorded. Every region is firing simultaneously. Memory, language, sensory processing, something in the prefrontal cortex I've never seen mapped before." He paused. "She's been awake this whole time. She's been listening." As if on cue, she turned her head. Both men stepped back. She looked at Marcus first, then at James. Then she opened her mouth and said, in a voice like wind moving through copper pipes, a single word. "Safe." Marcus answered before he even thought about it. "Yes, you're safe." Her name, as best they could translate it, sounded like Aelith. She communicated in fragments at first, single words, then short phrases, as though she were pulling human language from somewhere deep in her memory like old code being debugged line by line. She had been placed in the warehouse deliberately. Hidden. She explained this over 3 days of careful patient conversation, sitting at Marcus's workbench while he handed her tools she would examine and name in 2 languages simultaneously. Her people, she called them the Vale, had been observing Earth for longer than human civilization had existed. They did not interfere. It was their oldest law. But Hale had been young and curious, and had broken that law by descending, by walking among humans in a smaller, adapted form. She had been caught, stripped of her transit vessel and hidden, punishment disguised as patience. She was meant to wait until her people returned for her. That was 11 years ago. She had waited in that warehouse through 3 ownership changes, 2 floods, and 1 fire that had taken half the building but left her shelf untouched, as though the flames knew better. "Why didn't you reveal yourself sooner?" Marcus asked one evening as she sat across from him eating. She ate, it turned out, though only fruit and strangely black tea. Hale tilted her head. The silver in her eyes shifted like liquid. "I watched," she said. "Many humans came. They were afraid. Fear makes them destroy what they do not understand. And me." She looked at him for a long moment. "You were also afraid. But you said hello anyway." The days that followed were the strangest and most vivid of Marcus's life. Hale learned fast. Language, technology, human customs, with a focus that was both beautiful and slightly unnerving. She would sit in front of his laptop for hours, reading, her silver eyes scanning the screen faster than any human could follow. She cried the first time she saw a video of the ocean. She laughed, a strange, resonant sound, the first time she heard jazz. James came back twice a week with equipment, with questions, with a growing notebook of observations he swore he'd never publish. "She's not dangerous," he told Marcus firmly after the 4th visit. "She's extraordinary. But she is not dangerous." "I know," Marcus said. He'd stopped needing to be told. 3 weeks after Marcus brought her home, the signal came. Hale woke him at 3 a.m., standing at the foot of his bed, the blue light in her chest pulsing rapidly, urgently. "They are coming," she said. Marcus sat up. "Your people?" "Yes." He looked at her. This small, impossible blue-skinned girl who had waited 11 years in a dusty warehouse for someone who wouldn't be afraid. And he asked the only question that mattered. "Do you want to go?" The silver eyes held his. The pulse of light slowed. "I do not know," she said honestly. "I have never had a choice before. You have one now." She was quiet for a long time. Outside, the sky above Detroit began to glow. Faint, cyan, beautiful, wrong. And in the workshop, every tool on the wall hummed with a frequency too low to hear but deep enough to feel in the chest. Hale reached out and took Marcus's hand. Her fingers were warm. "Tell me," she said softly. "What is the word for when a place becomes home after you did not expect it to?" Marcus thought about it. "Belonging," he said. She nodded slowly and held on.